Hi, and welcome to the Same 24 Hours podcast. I'm Meredith Atwood, author of the book, The Year of No Nonsense. I'm a former attorney turned writer, speaker, and Ironman triathlete. Although right now, all I really like to do is lift weights. We all have the same 24 hours, but it's what we do in those hours that leads to our greatest health, happiness, and success. It's my goal to crack the code on a life of less nonsense so we can all make the most of our 24 hours. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Same 24 Hours podcast. I am super excited about our guest today. Janine Driver is here. Hello, friend. How are you?
Good. How are you?
So I'll tell the audience, I found out about Janine just a couple weeks ago, and what she does is awesome, and you're going to love to hear about it. But what I really love her for is on this web conference, she said, do you know if your microwave is beeping, you can turn that off? You don't have to endure it. And I was like, what? And so I told her, I said, she saved our house because all day long in quarantine, it was beep, 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 and then the reminder beep. And it's gone. So thank you for that.
The reason I told you about that was I say you can't unlearn that. And what I'm going to teach, you can't unlearn either.
Right. And so Janine is a body language expert. So what that means is she can look at what you're doing with your body and know what you're thinking. So basically, but there's more to it than that. But 17 years with the ATF as an investigator, New York Times bestselling books, and we're going to dig into it because it is fascinating. So let's start with your story. How does one become an investigator with the ATF? And then how does one become a body language expert?
I think it depends on my audience on how I answer this question because a bunch of things happen to make it the perfect storm. So sometimes I'll tell people, and it's all true, just, there's only so much time in a day or a podcast. The bottom line is my mother and I were fighting like crazy. And from 14 to 22, my mother and I were like oil and water. And I went to my guidance counselor in college, in high school, and said, what is the furthest state college? Waltham, Massachusetts.
From this woman.
And he said, it's in the Berkshires, in the mountains, 2.5, 3 hours away. There's a hairpin turn. It's down in a valley. I go, count me in. I want to apply for that school.
Wait, did you say you were in Waltham?
Yes.
So we're in Sudbury.
Oh, you are? You're in Sudbury.
We just moved here. I'm from the South. We've just been in Massachusetts for a year. So
Waltham, Mass. Yeah, I'm a Boston-based girl.
Funny.
I in the Berkshires, North Adams State College.
Cool.
And to make a long story short, I'm a Gemini. My birthday was yesterday. I just turned 50. I don't know if you can see my big 50 balloons right here. Hold on, I'm gonna bring you to them.
Oh, those are nice.
That's 50 right there. I'm out on my porch. It's pouring outside. And I went to the school. I was an English major. I had a couple teachers that rocked my world. You said one of my books became a New York Times bestseller. One did not, one did. The one that did was edited every word by one of my old professors from college, Harris Elder, every word. Every week I would write a section and I'd send it to him and it'd come back with all these red marks all over it and cross outs. And it was like going back to college. And to make a long story short, I was in school. I'm a Gemini. Geminis like multiple things. And I was a DJ and I worked at the Creative Development Center and high energy, silly, fun. And I'm motivated by fun. Everything I do is fun. If you weren't fun, like you were swearing a little bit as we began about the mowing, I'm like, my people, Meredith. I say I'm a swearing Christian. So
right, me too.
So what happened was I was in the Creative Development Center. Never heard of ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Never heard of them. They're the original Elliott Ness. So Elliott Ness back in the day was like looking at taxation and you couldn't have alcohol and all that stuff. Elliott Ness was the beginning of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms explosives, ATF. Never heard of them. But I'm a hard worker. And so I work extra at night. And there was a guy, Ron, who didn't like our boss, Susan. And back in the day, this was in the 90s, right? 91, 92. He wanted to apply for another job. So he would rip out these advertisements from a newspaper. This is 50 here for me.
Right.
And he would hand them to me, and then I would type up a cover letter and physically mail in all these applications for him to get a job. Just because I liked Ron, and our boss was on the bitchy side. So I was like, but I liked her too, because I learned a lot. I like bitchy people. I'm kind of
Right.
like just a splash, you know, like if you're just
We're going to be lifelong friends. I don't know why I feel that.
well, the people are super sweet. I'm like, oh, God bless them. But I feel like I like a little, I don't know, a little pepperoni there, a little spice. So I like this Ron, nice guy. Our boss was a little spicy. And guess what happened? The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the supervisor in Connecticut, this guy, Fran Flaherty, was this guy, Ron, who I was helping at night after hours till 10 o'clock at night, typing up cover letters for him. They were college roommates. So you never know. Kindness will always help. You don't know when it'll come back to you. It'll come back to you. And so I just did it. It's fun. I had time. And guess what? Fran Flaherty of ATF calls his former roommate, Ron. He got any new people? I'm only hiring a woman. The last 5 people we hired were men. And the only woman in the office, Regina Domingo, said, if we hire one more man, she's going to file a complaint. So I want to come in.
Oh, where'd your video go? Oh, you're back.
I want to come in and hire a woman. Ron goes, I got the perfect person. And so that's it. So that's one version of the story. There's other things like I had some bad kid, a guy tried to kidnap me. I was molested at 6, and like that kind of changed the direction of I want to keep myself and my family, my friends, and my finances safe. So kind of perfect storm of helping a guy who ended up knowing a guy that got me a job interview, and it matched with my beliefs, which was to, make smart decisions.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you do at the ATF that led you to becoming a body language expert? Like there had to be a moment where you were like, there's something to this.
Cool. This stuff's cool. Yeah. So when you go on to ATF or any law enforcement agency, you have weeks on end on training, weeks. And so for us, we had a 5-week course and a 4-week course. And in both of these 9 weeks, they were JJ Newberry moments. And it would just say something like, rapport is people who like themselves. People like people who are like themselves. Rapport. Contempt, moral superiority, the only universal expression that shows up on one side of her face, and it would be like JJ Newberry moments. And I'm like, he's a retired special agent with ATF. I never met him. So I'm like, it looks like I'm Googling this guy, JJ Newberry. Fine, JJ Newberry had a radio show that he was interviewed on for about an hour and a half. And I listened to it, Meredith, like 12 times, took notes on what he said, and I could almost memorize what he said. Then I tracked down JJ Newberry over in California and tracked him down. I said, I want to be the next JJ Newberry. What and the fact that in these manuals, they're quoting you're the guy I want to know. He's what's called the truth wizard. He was tested by a therapist, by a psychologist who's since passed away. And if you can detect deception at 85% accuracy or more, you are what she called in this experiment, truth wizard. So who doesn't want to be trained by a truth wizard?
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends on where you are morally.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want the truth wizard.
I say my husband and I, we don't get invited to shit because no one wants a at your house because all human beings lie, all of us. And I got to tell you, I'm not good at it. So when I lie, I used to be one of these people that would exaggerate all the time. Like, oh, Janine, I like your little shawl thing. It's, where'd you get it? And I might say, oh, I got it at Macy's. It was $100. And I got called out. This was about 15 years ago. And someone goes, why do you do that? I don't know. I've always done it my whole life, like exaggerate either up or down. Sure, integrity, truth. And so I still will say, if you said to me, Janine, I love your little shawl with all the little thingies hanging off, all the little balls. If I said to you, oh, thank you, it costs $100. If it came out like that, now I then say this, thank you, Meredith, it costs $100. And by $100, I mean $7.99 at a cute little store.
So that's funny because I do the same thing, but I downplay it. So I will have paid $100 for it and I'll be like, oh, thank you. I got it at Old Navy. It was $7 because I'm ashamed that I would pay $100 for something, so I downplay everything. That's funny, but I also exaggerate too. That's my lie of choice because I like to tell stories.
Yeah. Well, I'll say it is 110 degrees here. And as soon as the exaggeration comes out and I'll say, And by 110 degrees, I mean about 82 degrees with humidity.
Right.
Times funnier. I get to live in truth. It's so great for me. I try my best to be as truthful as I possibly can.
Yeah. All right. So you hunted down JJ Newberry. You said, you're going to be my friend, whether you like it or not. And he said, you scare me. Sure.
Yeah, I did. And he doesn't call me for 2 weeks. And randomly my phone rings. He goes, Janine, JJ Newberry, I'm coming to town tomorrow. I live in the Washington, D.C. area now. He was coming to D.C. I'm coming to D.C. tomorrow. I'm teaching the State Department a big class on detecting deception and cognitive interviewing and like witness recall stuff to help witnesses unlock things that they've forgotten. And I want you to come watch my course. And I'm like, JJ Newberry? He goes, yeah, sorry, it took me a while to call you. I had to call other people in ATF to make sure, like, who are you? Are you legit? You know, value systems. So he's a mentor. Now he has dementia. And it's devastating when I call him in California. And we have great conversations. And then his girlfriend comes on. I go, that was amazing. He must be doing so well. And the girlfriend goes, he won't remember you called 2 minutes from now.
Oh,
it's just, so he taught me. He's one of these guys, JJ Newberry, is one of these men, one of these humans that will mentor you and then say, make it your own. Take what I give you and then add to it and make it your own. And then the only thing he asked of me, was give it to other people once I master it. And I'm constantly trying to master it and give it to other people. So I do a train the trainer course, and people will say to me, why do you do a train the trainer? You're creating your competition. And I said, I'm not creating my competition. I want everyone to know. Imagine what the world would be like if we were all authentic, real, if we were all honest, if we all called ourselves out on our biases. Like, we would just be such a better place. So I constantly, and my mother, who passed away of breast cancer a couple of years ago, said, your power is what you give to others. My mother used to say, if I say to you, Meredith, here, you can have this. Here, you can have this, Mike. Here, you can have this, Michelle. Here, that I'll be left with nothing. But if I just say to people, here, take what you need, people will show up and let me keep way more than I might think. So your power is what you give to others. So I constantly give.
That's such a novel concept. I mean, it really is, because there, especially with what we're talking about right now, just with the current events and this whole idea of like, oh, I have this pie and you can have a piece of it. But like the whole idea that we all get a pie, take whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you need. And then the concept of like steal like an artist. I love that book, which talks about borrow things from your mentors, from the people that inspire you, and then make it your own. And that's what art is. That's how we move forward. And so that's really cool.
It's really cool. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
I did an interview with a guy last week, Meredith, called Dr. David Matsumoto, and he went to the Athens Olympics. And I talked about all this like racial divide. I essentially had a nervous breakdown on a Facebook Live about the hate,
Yeah.
And even my own unconscious biases that we don't know. That's why the word unconscious is connected to it. And I've dated every human being many human beings on earth. I've had a lot of Black boyfriends. I've had an Asian boyfriend. I've had several Hispanic boyfriends. I've had tall boyfriends. I've had short boyfriends. I've had skinny boyfriends. I've had fat boyfriends. I like human beings. I'm attracted to humans. And I'd have more boyfriends if I wasn't married the last time. Because I like people who are different than me. I find people, who are raised the same way as me, believe the same thing I believe. It's like, I live in this. So I had this nervous breakdown on Facebook Live about, I don't know where to go with this hate. I just know I can't not speak up.
Right.
And we need to do better. I need to do better. And so I did this interview with Dr. David Matsumoto. He went to the Athens Olympics years ago, and he proved that sighted athletes like you and I, born to see, and blind athletes, congenital, born blind, we make the same body language when we win and when we lose. Very similar. Like, we get big when we win, we get small when we lose. And the same expressions that when we win and we lose, both blind and sighted athletes. Even blind people will, if they hear something like disgusting right? And you're describing, you know, this woman with a migraine, and she went to the doctor and they found out a cockroach had climbed up her nose and was living on her
She'll make
brain.
that face.
Even the blind person doesn't see the cockroach, just hearing it still makes the face of disgust. And I specifically, and I know you probably have questions for me, I want to just start with, I said to him, where do we meet people right now where we have conversations with men and women of color, you know, our brown and black friends, you know, where do we meet to have the conversation? Because as a white woman, I hear constantly, I'm afraid to speak up. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing. So I was asking Dr. David Matsumoto, like, where could we meet? And we have these 7 universal emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, surprise, anger, contempt, and disgust. All human beings have them, and they show up our face the same way. And if I could realize these 7, even a handful of them, if I knew how to spot them on the face, then I can tell, A, I offended you, or B, something bad happens to someone, and I notice there's a smile on your face. I want to just have a conversation. And what Dr. David Matsumoto said is, when you see the emotion, I love this metaphor, is you imagine a door has appeared. Now it's up to you to open the door and see. We don't know what caused the emotion. So now have the conversation. If I'm talking to you and I saw disgust, which is your nose wrinkling, your upper lip can come up subtly like this.
I feel like I should put us on the dual thing during this conversation. Sorry, on the recording, so people can see you doing my face.
So if you did disgust, yeah, like that little wrinkle nose up, I now know there's something you're disgusted with. And so in my head, I think, okay, she just heard the story about the cockroach that climbed up the woman's nose and is living on her brain that they have to surgically remove. So whatever I just said is creating a visceral response for you. And now it's up to me to do due diligence. This is, the doorway has appeared. I don't know what you're disgusted about. Are you disgusted that I'm wearing a hat? Are you disgusted that I said a word wrong? Are you disgusted that I'm talking nonstop? Like, I don't know what it is. I would just simply say, you know, maybe I'm wrong here, Meredith. It seems to me there's something you'd like to tell me. And the reason, instead of me just saying, it seems like there's something you don't want to say, you don't want to say that. Because if I say, there seems like there's something you don't want to say, that's what's called an embedded command. And the embedded command is, you don't want to say it. If this goes to your subconscious level, it is twice as powerful as me just telling you, don't tell me.
Ah.
So it seems like to me there's something you don't want to say. I don't want to say that.
Or is it the same, like, it seems like there's something you're not saying, same deal?
Yeah, do not say that.
Yeah.
Or stay away from that. Because instead what you should be saying, it seems to me there's something you want to tell me. It seems like you'd like to say to me, and I'm open to receiving it.
That sounds like a good parenting tactic too. It seems like there's some truth you want to tell me about that thing you just said. Yeah.
In law enforcement, they'll do that all the time. Like, it appears to me there's something you'd like to tell me. And nod yes, I'm nodding my head yes, because now we begin to mirror each other. And so if we can just spot the micro expressions like disgust or contempt is moral superiority, or someone kind of smiling, a little bit of a smile when they shouldn't have a smile, an inappropriate line was said, a derogatory hate word, we see kind of smirk. But people smirk not only for happiness, they smirk for evil. We call it duping delight. So if I fire you, and when I fire you, I smile. Am I happy?
That's like, gotcha.
But this is what many people think. What we don't realize, when people also smile when they're embarrassed. So if you're telling you're an inappropriate word to describe some type of group of people, and it was a hate word, and you said it and your friend kind of smiles, it doesn't mean she's happy. It doesn't mean she's evil. She could be embarrassed that you're talking that way.
Yeah.
So when
my son does that, like he's when he's in trouble, or he laughs and he smiles, and we're like, what are you smiling at? So that's interesting.
That's embarrassing. So anyway, I want to start with that the beauty of body language is, some of it is an art and some of it is a science. And if we can get into the science and read someone's face, I was just interviewed by by the Today Show. There's an article, if people want to Google it, on Today Show's website, on us wearing a mask today. How is that influencing our ability to communicate?
Right.
And I said, listen, if you had to have a mask over someone's mouth or someone's eyes and forehead, I'd much rather the mask be over someone's mouth, because the only thing we're seeing in the mouth without forehead activity is contempt, the smirk. But all the other, happiness is seen in the eyes. Surprise is seen in the eyes. Fear is seen in the eyes, the whites of the eyes. Disgust is our nose wrinkling, so you see the bridge right here. So, you know, we see so much on the, you can tell if someone's smiling behind the mask.
Yeah, you can.
You know, they're like,
well, because my eyes disappear.
Yeah.
I have eyes, I have no eyes when I smile. Okay, so I have a question for you, and I have a lot of questions for you, but okay, so years ago, when I first started doing Zooms and podcasts and all that, I watched a video of myself, and I had resting bitch face. So, like, literally every time I'm on camera, like right now, I am forcibly trying to turn my mouth up. And it's not a smirk. It is because this is my normal face. You ready?
Yeah.
So if I don't act like, no one wants to be on the receiving end of that on a podcast. So I find that I think I do the smirk a lot, but it's me trying, but it's not superiority. It's like, don't have bitch face. Because this is my face.
So, okay. Okay. So there's no such thing as a blank face. Okay. So this RBF, resting bitch face, RBF, it doesn't really exist. So there's always an emotion hanging out there on your face. Always. Okay. So, but it's only a 3% emotion. So 97% nothing, 3% of a little bit of happiness, a little bit of sadness, a little bit. But if your RBF face, I've seen you leak contempt a couple times since we've chatted, like the thing right here. You're a badass, dude. So you're powerful. So just let you know, contempt is not just, it's more superiority, but it's, I've got my shit together. I'm confident. Like, and so your go-to, even though you're just trying not to have RBF,
right,
is that little, just a
right.
little bit. Well, so it backfires us as women, even though we're
I just did it. Oh.
Well, it does backfire, but it'll send the message, I'm not a woman to be messed with. Mm-hmm. So it's not the first thing that can happen. When men have this, like Harry Connick Jr. has this, okay? So he had a segment and had me on. He goes, I suffer like many Americans of RBF, right? This resting bitch face. And he had different celebrities that said they have this RBF. And I said, well, listen, research shows that women are attracted to men with that slight little teeny contempt face, right? So we look at it as like confidence and bravado and a little bit of like mystery in there. For women, it can be the opposite, like, oh, I don't want to cross her. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Like, would you rather be seen as someone who's sad or someone that is so confident that I'm not here to be messed with? You smile, you're engaging. So it's not like for 2 hours, you don't have any movement as you're talking live. So by the way, when Harry Connick Jr. touched my leg right here, my left leg, the next question he asked me, whatever it was, I said the same exact answer. And I've never been starstruck before, except for him. He's so charming and handsome. And he touched my leg like this a year before, you know, Y2K. Probably wouldn't have touched it. Not Y2K, Y2K.
Me too.
Hashtag me too. That's funny. Y2K. Yeah. Me too. Hashtag me too. But he touched my leg and I'm like, Harry Connick Jr. is talking to me, touching my leg for like 3 minutes. No one is like asking me to leave the premises. Like, it was so surreal for me. So the next time he asked me a question, I repeated the same exact answer. Someplace else. And the reason I take that is sometimes when you're talking to people, their face is throwing a party, but it has nothing to do with what you're talking to them about. Because they, just like I was with Harry Connick Jr., they went somewhere else. They disappeared. So there's always the conversation you're privy to, you're a part of. And I want everyone to know there's a secondary conversation, internal dialogue, that my face is reacting to, this other conversation that you don't get to be a part of. And so what happens is we often misread people. I'll give you a quick example is when people go like this.
Yeah.
No, I did not steal the money. Or, yes, I'm together with you. This is not a good tell to detect deception. And I'll tell you why, Meredith. Is if you're at a baseball game or football game or basketball game and that your team wins or scores, you could be like, unbelievable. Tom Brady, awesome. He's awesome. So I'm saying he's awesome. I'm saying unbelievable. But my head is saying no. Why? Because my internal dialogue is then saying, you're hearing me say, he's amazing. It's unbelievable. but my internal dialogue is saying, I can't believe you did it, man. I can't believe it. I would never be able to do something like that. I could never do something like that. You know, understand there's a secondary dialogue always happening. And so when you see something on someone's face, say, okay, I wonder if this is something that we're talking about or something that they're thinking about or talking to themselves about. So you just simply say, you know, it seems to me there's something you'd like to say, or it seems to me you have some thoughts you might want to share, or it seems to me you're thinking about something and I'm open to hearing what it is. And they'll be like, oh, sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And like, we know that, but we don't think about it when we're in the middle of it, because I get it with my husband all the time, because I'm talking to him and he's clearly not in the conversation, you know, but realizing that he's just got pulled out of work, you know, which is the dining room. And to just say, I can see that. I mean, what would I say? Obviously he doesn't want to talk to me in this moment, but he's trying to be polite.
This is some advanced content, but I'm going to go there. Handle it. Okay. We think that there's extroverts and introverts. I've done a couple TED Talks. This is going to be my next TED Talk. Okay. So you're going to get a sneak peek.
Sweet.
We think that there's extroverts and introverts, and there are. However, there's two other categories of how people interact. There's actually 4 interaction styles: extroverts and introverts. This other thing called versatiles, or sometimes called an ambivert, which means you can be both an extrovert and an introvert. And this other category I'm not going to share with you today. But this ambivert or versatile here, which I am, they have, and 80% of us approximately have this versatility in us with this interaction style, okay? Almost 80% of us. And what it is we have that extrovert and introvert. I am this. And so what happens is I could be sharing, which is extroversion, but because I also have a strong need for introversion, I can disappear. So just like your husband can tell, like, or you can tell when he disappears. My sons can tell, right? They're like, forget it. I'm like, what? I'm listening. And my kids are like, no, you stopped listening about 30 seconds ago.
Yes.
And it's what happens is the switch is subconscious. So instead of us getting mad about people in those moments, like my kids sometimes do, I'm trying to educate them. I'm like, someday you might have employees like me. So we need to get to know me, because my son, I have 2 introverts and 1 extroverted kid. So all boys. So I'm trying to teach my oldest, who's 14, this, and it's nothing personal. So we don't have to take this personal. People disappear. So my extroversion, and this also shows up like this. I think I told you something, Meredith. I sent you my headshot. And you go, I couldn't put your headshot on. I never got the headshot. I'm like, yeah, I sent it. And you're like, you did? I didn't see it. And you take out your phone, and I go to look at my search message. Oh, hold on. My phone is trying to update. What is going on today? It's downpouring here. Someone's mowing the lawn outside your place.
It's perfect.
The wife is bummed. People are bummed vaping in.
It's perfect.
So,
it is. It's fine.
Whoever's watching, they'll be like, this girl is living my life.
Right. It's real up in here.
So I think of something. I think I have done something, and I go to search it, and I didn't send it. But I could swear my life I did. Because if you have a strong need for extroversion and introversion, you imagine actually doing it. And so we believe that it happened. These are people who said, did you get me an unsweet iced tea when you rolled by McDonald's? You're like, no, I didn't know you wanted iced tea. It's like, yeah, when you left, I said, hey, grab me an unsweet iced tea. And you're surrounded by 6 other people like, Janine, you never said anything. And I'm like, what? Yeah. Or I had a woman, when I taught this on a keynote, she came up, she goes, you just saved my marriage. She was like 70. She goes, you just saved my marriage. I go, I saved your marriage. She goes, yeah, I got a haircut yesterday. And I woke up this morning, I was mad. My husband never noticed. And I said to him this morning at breakfast, you know what? You didn't even notice I got a haircut. And he goes, what are you talking about? I did too. When you came in, I said, I love your hair. It looks gorgeous. I love it. She goes, no, you didn't. And she goes, I think he's versatile. And he thinks that he did it because he was so adamant that he had said it. And I said, oh, sweetie, he could be versatile, but you could be versatile. Said it, but you were in a private mode and didn't hear the person saying it. They really said it, but you were in privacy.
Yeah.
So understanding that you can be this versatility is life changing, because we don't have to take it personal when all of a sudden someone's talking to you and then they disappear into privacy.
Yeah.
I'll say there, as you just say, it seems like to me that you disappeared into privacy. Do you need some private moment? Do you need a private moment? We could chat about this later. Or can I get you to back in this conversation? it seems like you went a little private there, which is fine. Can I get you back in? And in a kind way, now that the breeze is like blowing on my face. So this is, traditional body language is great. This gets really deep because this thing I'm talking about with you, versatility, connects to body language movement. Watch this. Ready? I'm going to demonstrate so you can feel what I'm talking about here. There's 3 stages of decision making: research, reasoning, and the result. Research is gathering information with depth. What kind of paper is it? What color is it? How thick is it? Where did you get it? How much was it? Right? And breath. Instead of using paper, what could we put the message on? We could write on a rock. We could write with chalk on the fence, to someone's happy birthday, right? Some of my kids' school teachers have been decorating our driveway with chalk messages for my kids and drawings with Batman and a whole bunch of good stuff. That's researching with creativity, breath, okay? So research. Reasoning is, why do things matter? Weighing pros and cons. Where do I stand on this issue? This is where the why lives. Why should we do it? This right here. Then the result is landing the plane, right? So actually doing it, hiring someone or firing someone, choosing, hey, let's go to breakfast, and then changing your mind, say, you know what, we're not going to breakfast. And then you start cooking something else. The decision is done. You can be extroverted here, introverted here, versatile here. So over here, extrovert, and right? You're brainstorming, you're talking to everybody, you call, you're so friendly, right? But way down here in executing in that 3rd stage, you're private. You're an introvert. So every time we buy tickets to go to a hockey game or we're all going to lunch, you never go with us. But here, when it comes to small talk, how are you? How was the weekend? Gathering research and data, they're the friendliest person, but they'll never go to lunch with you. And we think of them as unpredictable, or we think of them, oh my gosh. Because my birthday was yesterday, my phone's lighting up with people. Because I birthday on the phone on Facebook, I somehow shut it down by mistake. But so I hope you're following me. Are you following me?
Yeah.
So here you're so friendly, talk, and then every time I'm doing something, you never come to my house, you never go to lunch with us, you never go to the hockey game with us, you never go shopping with me. You're always like, nah, I'm good, because you have privacy here. All right. So you could be something different in each of these zones, which is like changing for me. So watch this to understand. I'm versatile in all 3 stages. So what that means is I'm a real peach. If you and I are going to be friends, there's a lot of things I'm not going to hear that you said. A lot of things I think I told you, didn't tell you. And just being in a place of understanding that, emotional intelligence and self-awareness. And even if you don't know exactly what you might be, I would, the person at home listening, know that this exists. And it's highly likely, because 80% of us have versatility somewhere in here. It's highly likely you have it. And so say we go grocery shopping. You and I were walking in the grocery store together with our masks on, and you turn around and I'm nowhere to be found. 5 minutes later, I come back with a rotisserie organic chicken, and you're like, where'd you go? And I go, oh, the organic ones, they disappear quick. So I went and grabbed the only 2 they had, or 1. And you go, oh, that's fine. Next time, tell me. And I go, okay, yeah. Sorry. Next time I'll let you know. You just disappeared, Janine. Just tell me. I go, oh, okay, yeah. We go grocery shopping again. What happens? The same shit happens that happened last week. And now what happens? You and I are in therapy as a couple with some therapist saying that I'm disrespectful and I don't listen to Meredith. Has Meredith not talked to you, Janine, about this several times? Yes. Have you not agreed to tell Meredith before you just disappear when you're shopping or when you're doing this? And yes, I did. Well, what seems to be going on? Let's go back into your child. I'm not knocking therapy. I love therapy. I'm looking for a therapist right now. And therapists don't even understand. They don't know about this, that there's 4 different categories on how we interact. So that's why I'm going to do a TED Talk on this. So all of a sudden it's going to blow the lid. 99% accuracy, by the way, and it's all connected to movement. So imagine now, instead of us going to therapy about it, it's like, okay, let's create a strategy around our versatility, because it's always subconscious. That's right. What it's always, you're not going to change. You're never going to say, hey, I'm going to get the chicken.
You're just going to go get the chicken.
Well, I might tell you the first time, but I'm going to, listen, I'm a natural cat, right? So I say, I've been coloring my hair since I was 7. I'm now 50. What happens every 6 weeks? I've got to color my hair again. You think my hair would catch on. Get with the program. I've been coloring you blonde. Start coming in blonde. Like, get with the program. it goes back to our organic roots. So we can change when it comes to this interaction style, just a smidge, but you're going to go back to your organic roots. So the better fix is to just simply say, and if you're listening right now and you think you might be versatile in something, go tell your loved ones. So you know how I disappear sometimes on you and you call me out, or I think I told you something and I thought I did something and I didn't. It's not that I have ADD. I mean, maybe you do. However, I think I'm this versatility. You know, I think I'm both extrovert and introverted, and the switch from sharing goes into privacy subconsciously. And if you notice that with me, I invite you to call me out and say, hey, can I bring you out of your privacy? You know, I think it would save a lot of friendships, a lot of marriages, a lot of people to get jobs if we just understood. When people are telling you, I really thought I sent it out. The client never received the package. I could swear I sent it out. I know I sent it out. I know I did. There's no paper, there's no proof, nothing.
Yeah. Well, this is probably even more advanced content, but where is this so is this a trait you inherit? Is this a trait you develop from a need to be a certain way in childhood? So like if you were expected to be a certain way and you had no privacy as a kid,
No.
This is just who you are. Okay.
So it comes with movement. Okay. So I'm gonna demonstrate one right now that you'll be able to like, holy shit, I never thought of it like that. So there's 12 moves all human beings make that are not like traditional body language. Like when we steeple people, we intimidate people, or when we grab our chin, we're about to win. Or when you hold your hand like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, the higher the hold, the more anxiety is told. So I'm sitting like this, I'm sitting like this, I'm sitting like this, I'm sitting like this, I'm sitting like this. The higher the hold, the more anxiety is told. That's like very easy, simple body language 101 that I'm teaching.
I'm glad I'm sitting here with my hands in my lap. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll show you right now. Do you think this person is more, I'm going to do a body language moves, okay? So there's 12 movements. I'm not going to show you the 12.
And for anyone who's listening on a podcast, this is up on YouTube. So might want to check the YouTube. Yeah.
So I'm going to show you there's 12 moves. I'm going to do 2 of the moves together right now, okay? And I want you to tell me, what do you physically want to do with your body when I do these 2 moves, okay? So just, I'm your friend and I'm talking to you. I'm going to do 2 moves right now and you're going to respond like, how do you think you would naturally respond? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Meredith, I want to tell you something. All right, great. So the 2 moves I just did was I did advancing, which was coming forward, and I did accelerating. I didn't go like this. Meredith.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I want to tell you what happened yesterday. So when I advance and I decelerate and go really slow, Matt Damon does this one a lot. He'll lean forward almost like in slow motion. This is like the secret pose. And when I advance and decelerate, what do you want to do?
I want to lean in.
I want to lean in, right?
Yeah.
So I come in and I go, guess what happened? Okay. And I'm advancing very slow. But when I advance quickly, I'm like, Meredith, right? And people are like, whoa. This is my friend, Chris Ulrich. Okay. He's a fellow body language expert. And if you're with Chris, he's like, guess what else happened? I'm like, what?
Damn it, Chris. Don't you teach this stuff?
Oh, right. Well, you can't unchange it. You can't change it, right? So here's what happens. When it comes to these 3 stages of decision making, these moves that I'm showing you, there's 4 in this area that connect with this. That's it. 4 moves that connect. Ready? So you saw 2, right? You saw 3, advancing, and you saw me advance and accelerate, and advance and decelerate. And the only other move in this category is leaning back, right? So advance, retreat, accelerate, decelerate, okay? When these moves, when I come forward slowly in this whispering pose, it makes you come closer to me.
I know, I'm like, what are you going to say now?
These are the moves connected with extroversion. These are the moves. Why? Because extroverts want people to come towards them, to be closer to them. So naturally, people are doing it and they don't even realize they're doing it. We call it a behavioral fingerprint. People don't even know they're making these moves. It's not just in that moment. It's like they do it all the time. They'll do it all the time. So watch this. So when I advance and I go fast, right? I accelerate. Watch this. Guess what? Like my friend Chris, You want to back up. These are the two moves connected with introversion on that area of decision making. So watch what happens. When Chris and I are teaching a class together, we do a 3-day course and a 5-day certification course on body language and detecting deception. So we go to lunch. Chris is walking 10 feet ahead of me. Why? He's advancing and accelerating. So while we're walking, he's like always 10 feet ahead, always. And which would be polite if we were in a minefield, like in a war movie. But it's like we're just walking around, like in DC. So I'm like, dude, slow it down. He's like, what? It's just who he is, right? So guess what happens? If you're ever going out to lunch, it's very rare that Chris will want to go with everyone. That's when he wants to take his private time. But these other two zones, gathering research, small talk, right? Research, what's important, why does it matter, blah, blah, blah. He'll talk all day long with you. He'll hang out with you all day long. Executing decisions, he's very private. So if I were talking to you, Meredith, and you did this with me, if just simply by talking, and this is why it's advanced material, I didn't plan on going here, it just kind of happened. But in sales, like if I could teach just this in sales, that watch, if you have a client, say in a sales meeting, and the client goes like this, accelerates really fast, that's a really good point. And you see them move forward quickly, it's unlikely that person wants to go to lunch with you. And you're wondering, I don't think I can't win this client over. I bought hockey tickets and football tickets and I did this and this. And they never
interesting.
Well, you know what? That's not the best way to build rapport with that client because they want to be in private. So instead, you want to get them tickets and give it to their family, them and their family. Don't you try to take them out. Say, hey, I wanted to get you a gift certificate. Call his secretary or her secretary. What's his favorite restaurant? You know, you can still build rapport in a different way, but if you're trying to get human beings to interact with you,
wow.
You can. So I'm sitting next to a stranger. I could be at a restaurant somewhere, and I'm sitting next to a stranger, and I see them with their family or whatever, and they're like, "Mom, you know what else happened?" And I'm like, "I can't unsee it." And they're like looking forward, and they're going fast, and I'm like, eventually, I go, "I gotta ask you a question. Are you very introverted when it comes to doing stuff with people? Like, would you rather not like hang out with everyone?" And they're like, "Yes. How do you know that about me?" When you go to the mall, do you go with like a bunch of friends or at least one friend, or do you go by yourself? You want to go by yourself, right? And they're like, "Yes." Do you ever go to movies by yourself? Like without friends? They're like, "I love going to movies." But how do you know all this about me? Straight eavesdropping in my conversations. And it's just simply by that movement. If people do it a lot, leaning forward fast. Now you might just do it once in a while, like guess what? But if you do it all the time, that person in this last stage of doing stuff, executing, they're not going to want to hang out with you. They're going to go to movies by themselves. They're going to eat at restaurants by themselves. They're going to go grocery
me.
Yes?
1,000%. Like, I love small talk. I'm very big, but like, don't call me on the phone. Like, I want to go to the movie by myself. Like, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I'm like, we're not going to get that close. We're friends, but we're not that close. It's interesting.
Yeah. So now you did in advance. You didn't accelerate at the same time, but you did do it in advance. And then but you just did a normal speed. You didn't do it slow or didn't do it fast. But I'll keep an eye on you. And if I see a fast movement on you, I'll show you what it is. That way you can. But right there, that was an advance. So if I was profiling you, I would right now put a tick mark for advance and a retreat because you went forward and then you went back. So I would begin to create a profile on how you make decisions and how you interact with people. Just based on movement. It doesn't matter what you say.
What was that movement? That's like, I do a lot of that.
You do? Do it.
I mean, I do a lot of like this and a lot of.
I'm going to tell you what that is. Okay, you want to know?
I think it's being expressive and fun.
Okay. So first of all, what's your background? Do you have art-based background or like?
So I was always a writer as a kid and I did photography and then I went and became a lawyer. And so I turned my back on my entire dream and then became a drunk, by the way, 20 years of drunk, and I'm 4.5 years sober. And now I'm a writer and I do podcasting. And so like I made a full circle to like who I was as a kid.
Good. I don't drink alcohol either. I was like, great. I said I was a problem drinker.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's my polite term. I say I had a bit of a drinking problem, which was
move that you
raging.
did this, like, I'm a fun. We see a lot of artists do this. Lucille Ball would sometimes do this. So this move is called indirecting, and it's connected with, so there's two things happening here. One, it's connected with research and data. Are you a detail-oriented person?
Yeah, to a degree. And then some things I'm like, screw it. So the things that really matter, yes.
All right, the other move, and I can't profile you by 2 moves. We have to have 250 movements of the 12 for me to get your profile. So I'm just telling you connects with. But this other thing also connects with is, in my world, it's called identifying. And these are the people that.
Now there's a bird.
They can hear the birds chirping. They can hear the lawnmower going, the fan going.
That's
so
amazing.
Identifying, high identifiers, hear it all. They can feel the temperature just got 2 degrees warmer in here. They can feel it, and they will interact with it. So like if 2 people were fighting and punching their faces in, if you were high in identifying, you would get in the middle of that fight. Leave them alone. You're killing them. Right? There's a fire. High identifiers not only notice the fire, they hear a baby crying, they just respond. They would run right in. Moderate fire, which is what I am. Moderates will see the fire or may not see the fire. Right? So we may see it, may not. But then I can choose. So I'm often seen as self-serving. I'll get involved when I want to. And I go, yeah, exactly. There's less than 4,000 waking hours, hours in a year. So why am I think I'm saying that right. I might be saying that wrong. So why would I do something I'm not interested in doing? I very clearly will tell people, thank you for the invitation. I'm not gonna be able to do it. Thank you. And if I really want to do it, but can't do it, I'll say, listen, please invite me again, because this is a big yes for me if I didn't have another obligation. It's a big yes, so please. But if I don't say, please invite me again, no need to.
You're dead to me. You're dead to me. So, and I booked you on the first try.
You did. Well, I love
Look at all these moves. I feel like I want to move because I want to get you 250 of them for you before we get off.
And accelerate and an advance and a retreat. You're
yes.
on fire.
That just means I'm nuts. I'm super animated about a lot of the stuff we're talking about, but then I very much do the retreat move too. Like,
so I've seen you do it a lot, and I wonder. So this advancing and retreating connects with people who set goals, measure progress, update plans. They can also sometimes get anxiety, and they don't get a lot of sleep because they run scenarios in their head. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? I need a plan. E, D, E, F, G. And I don't know if that's you.
Yeah, it is. I'm running on like 4 hours right now of sleep.
So by the way, you're in good company because Beyonce is in this zone.
Oh, well, that explains so much. Me and Beyonce. Thank you for making that clear.
Trend spotters. If you think about it, Meredith, these are the people who lean into the future and bring the future to now. So this is a part of a world called movement pattern analysis. And the Pentagon hires a group of movement pattern analysis profilers to analyze world leaders on how quickly is Putin going to make this decision, or Angela Merkel do this decision. And it doesn't matter. They could be speaking in a different language. We can get your profile based on movement.
Wow.
It's really.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time because we booked an hour. So what do you want to make sure that everyone gets before we go? And then I want to talk about your online course too.
All right. 1, kindness. Your power is what you give to others. Be unrelentingly kind. I feel that we're all here to live a life of service. So look around and see how you can help. I love this. Someone told me, if you're wondering who could go help that person, make it be you. That's number 1. Your power is what you give to others. Right now, I'm glad this conversation is at the forefront. I'm sorry what happened to Mr. Floyd and his family. It's devastating to me. Now know there is a door of, if you can read expressions, and there's a lot of I have a lot of free stuff on YouTube, a ton of hours and hours on YouTube for free. Just put my name in, Janine Driver. And I do a show called Celebrity Lie Detector.
I was going to say, that's so good.
Yeah, it's really cool, but I only do it if there's something happening in the week, and then I'll go do it. It's on a Wednesday night if I haven't done one in a couple of weeks now. And you could check out, I do everything from statement analysis, hidden meaning behind words, to body language, to facial expressions, and to movement pattern analysis. So check out some free content. Emotional intelligence is self-awareness, social awareness, self-adaptation, other inspiring and motivating others to change. And ask yourself, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? You know, if you want to be right when your kid disappears or your husband disappears or your wife disappears or your client disappears while you're talking to them, you can be right and be psycho crazy bitch and say, you know what, you're being really rude right now. I'm talking to you and I can obviously tell you're not listening. You're right. Do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? If you want to be effective, understand that we have this versatility. People are disappearing. They're not doing it on purpose. It's not out of boredom with what you're saying, because it's an inherent desire to share and to be in private. We slip there just like the roots of my hair. I don't get mad when the hair starts coming in brown and get all pissy. I'm like, wow, time to color the hair. So time to reboot. So you can control you, have kindness, and you know, say to the person, I think you might be this thing called versatility, and I'm wondering if you just slipped, or even if you don't remember versatility, it seems like you just kind of went into some privacy. Is this a good time? And they'll be like, yeah, sorry. If you think you're a high identifier and you're getting distracted by that, tell people up front, listen, I want your undivided attention just for 5 minutes.
Oh, that's interesting. I've done that before with my husband. Like when it's really important, I will say, I need like 5 really real minutes of you. Yeah. And then he's like, then he can focus, and I get like all of them there, but otherwise he's highly.
So it's really 5 minutes. It's not that 5 minutes is really a scam to get 20 minutes.
Right.
Program people like, I'm going to set a timer. I just want 5 minutes of your undivided attention. After 5 minutes, I'm done. So then they're going to really, really, truly be focused. And if you are versatile like me and maybe Meredith, then you want to make sure if you have a lot of sharing coming up, you're going to be involved in some type of webinar where you're going to have to share. Make sure you're not interacting with your kids and having a party an hour before, because now it's likely in the webinar you're going to start to daydream and disappear and go into your privacy. So bone up on a ton of privacy before you have a big sharing moment coming up. So you want to make sure you are 100% focused in there. So make sure you take your long shower, a long walk, get privacy first so you can focus here. Anytime we slip in a conversation, it's because we've not had enough privacy that day. That part of us has not been filled up. And so now in the moments where it matters the most, we disappear.
That is so freaking helpful. That is so helpful. Because I've noticed with clients in the afternoon, if I've done like a lot of podcasting prior to that, I'll be just dying sitting there trying to communicate, and I'm in it because I'm like, ooh, it's everything to force it. And some days I'm like, oh, we're having such a great conversation. And those are the days I've had, writing time or I've worked out. So good, Janine. So good. Thank you. This was awesome. Everyone check out, what is your website? Is it your name, Janine Driver?
Driver.com, JANINE, Driver.com. My kid's in front of the TV down there. I'm hoping they're okay. They're watching Gremlins. The Janine Driver.com, I have a new online program called 7 Levels of Reading and Influencing Human Behavior. It involves everything we're talking about today. I don't think we talked about the power of words. We'll have to do that next time you have me back.
Yeah, I would love to have you back. This was so fun. So fun.
There's hidden meaning behind certain words, and when people say them, you'll be like, oh, like left. I left the party at 10 o'clock. It indicates to me there was some type of problem at the party. There was some type of drama. Instead of I went home at 9 o'clock. What'd you do last night? Went to a party. I came home at 9 o'clock. I came home is different than I went to a party. I left the party at 9 o'clock. Left is drama. I left my husband. I left the job. Left is drama. So that's a topic for another time, but check it out. And I have the 7 levels of reading and influencing human behavior. It's 8 weeks online. I started group 2. It's on sale. It's usually $3,000. It's on sale for $700 on my website. Check it out. And if that's not in your price point because of everything that's happening with the coronavirus, I have a special coupon code for people who write to me. And just go to my website, JanineDriver.com, get my email. I'll give you a special coupon code because it's more important for me for you to get this information than for me to get your money. So I want you in there. If it's something you're interested in, please send me a message and I can let you in for, what they said, the price of a cup of coffee. Every day.
All right, friend. Well, thank you so much. We'll do it again. Bye.